and welcome to this morning's feature match. Andyming from Team Labwork from Hong Kong will face off against AlexShepelev from Team SAS from Russia. With commentary by Big Z and Jupiter, it's game time. Let's go! That's right, it's time to go, and we are basically going to get right into this. This is Jupiter from Alias New York, aka Fifth Planet Keyforge, and I have with me the Big Z.
Such a long intro for yourself. Yeah, it's just me, Big Z, from my house here in Texas. Yeah, good morning. Got some Keyforge on Saturday morning. Pretty stoked for this. Love to see Group H. It pretty much is always going to be cast early Saturday morning or Friday night.
Yeah.
Because of where these people are located over there in the APAC. This time it's Russia versus Hong Kong? Yeah. Fun.
I have an angry Harlan around today, so you guys will probably hear him all day.
Hello and good morning, Harlan. All right, so we're looking at decks first. I see Brooklyn Fuse Tadan pulled up. Alex was one of the newest members of Team SAS, and when we were kind of looking through decks, this is one he had available to him. It kind of just like burst out of nowhere for us as a team, and it's got a lot of fun stuff. It's got the double Infernus, double Exhume, double Mayhem, Hysteria for the Inferni, double Ronnie to pair with the double Exhume, hit and run for the Ronnies, double Medic. Again, like a lot of those doubles we like to see. Countersuit, double Medic causes lots of problems for what is kind of a weenie board. Some of these dudes could stick around because of the double Medics and the Encounter. Kirby, Red Alert is sometimes gas in here, sometimes not. There are 17 creatures that is around the average, but a lot of them are small, and you don't necessarily want them around all the time anyway. So yeah, I think it just does a lot of stuff. It has a lot of answers. It's not one of those decks where, like, I'm going to do all this stuff and you have to answer me all the time. It's more on the other side of things where I'm going to just constantly answer what you're doing and gain amber and forge keys while I'm answering what you're trying to do all game.
Yeah. This definitely is a classic control feel. Because like I said, it just kind of does what it does, and every turn it's looking to interrupt what you're doing or slowly creep towards its win con. So it'll be an interesting one. So let's move on to his second deck. This is what we call Grumpy, I guess. To say
he calls it Grumpy. It translates to a couple things, like Old Grumpy or Grumpy Old or something like that. But we call it Grumpy. This is his MM option that he's going with. Again, you're going to see the double Infernus in the disc. You've got the Ever Vital Jar. We talk about this every time we see it. Jar's value, I think, more than doubles at this tier because you're looking at decks that have very, very good lines in them. And sometimes Jar can literally rip that line completely away from a deck. And then what would be a B+ or an A- or even just a solid A deck can literally become, this is a loss. So we have seen the MM decks with Jar struck a whole lot. Jupiter knows the strikes today, so I'm going to be the one that's going to guess here in a moment. But a lot of what you've seen here is just the normal high value M cards. You are missing some of the combos that you would expect. He does have the Infernus and the Jar, so you got most of the stuff in this. Did not get a mark of this here, but it does have Stirring Graves for some Infernus recursion. It does have Mind Over Matter for some Infernus recursion. Double Borrow is nice. It does has the Bonithing, but that is safe place, not safe house. So this deck did not land the combo. This deck does not have auto encoder, so it is missing some of the super high value MM cards you would have loved to have seen in this. It had safe place been safe house or auto encoder been in this deck, this could have potentially been one of the better decks on our team. Period. That didn't happen. It's still a great deck, and I think Jar threatens pretty much any player's triad, because somewhere in your triad you're probably going to have a deck that Jar is just going to cut its head off. and we've been seeing that get struck a lot. So what's our third option here? What's next?
I don't get to say nothing about this deck. We're just gonna move on. Okay.
What?
I didn't get to say nothing about it. Like I wanted to make a call on the one thing I think.
You said all right, yeah.
Yeah, there's.
What do you say, Jupiter? What do you got? I'm sorry, my bad.
I'm gonna say I agree with you 100%. Of course, like everything you said makes sense. But the thing that I think is the tricky factor here, I think the X value here is Inspector. It doesn't get talked about enough, but the RNG like factor of just removing a card from the game has been pretty powerful from what I've seen in the games that
we saw. The 2 Inspector kills Jason pretty much like cut off the life of his deck. It hit I think it hit at least 1/6 Semper.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the second one hit, but both Inspector KOs purged a critically valuable card at the time it was purged. And yeah, you're talking about 1 out of 6, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 7, whatever their hand happens to be. But that's the type of card that always beats me. If it's against me, it will definitely be the best card in my hand. Just see if it doesn't know anything else to do.
Yeah, we've seen. I think this week's Tracker Talk we're going to talk about RNG because it's been a hell of a RNG week.
Yeah, we've got the Inspector lines, and then we've got the game versus Sydney. Like,
wild wormhole lines, like.
Yeah, wild wormhole. Oh, we saw it twice. We saw the wild wormhole to stay in the game that one game, and then we saw wild wormhole in the previous match, game of that match for the Chota.
Yeah, Andrew had to hit like to basically get there, and Andrew got his hit. Radar got his for the Chota. Like it was crazy, but yeah. So Inspector has actually been interesting, and like the RNG cards are definitely leaving scars in this matchup. So the third.
I know I have tons of scars from them.
the third deck we have is Donovan of Desert Tread Haunt. So go ahead, Z. This is for jobs. That's all I got.
This is definitely a super high-end deck that doesn't want to see Ettinger, but can survive it because in your disc you do have Poltergeist, you do have Control of the Weak, you have the Gateway. Screaming Cave can start to cycle some of the nonsense you're going to see in the deck. Inside the Logos, even though it won, we did point out that there was a Library Access Phase Shift deck yesterday night that did not have the EP. This deck does have the Effervescent Principle, so you've got a very fast logo set with a lot of the cards you want to see, and it does have Effervescent Principle in case your opponent does go high. You can punish them, which is super important, which is hard for them to choose what to go to, because one of the ways that you can defeat Routine Job is just go higher than they can possibly steal, which is hard but possible. But when they have Effervescent Principle and Routine Job on Phase Shift, that gets a little bit more difficult, because Shadows, you're going to see the biggest thing that stands out is the 4 Routine Jobs. Also has Hitting Stash to kind of set up some combo pieces later. This is just a really good deck. It did hold pretty well to time, even with Infernus existing, just because of all of the value the deck does have. And as I said, because of Poltergeist existing, it is not entirely nerfed due to Jar, because a lot of 4 Routine Jobs play Jar, you win, game over.
Yeah, this thing destroys that because it has Poltergeist and Neutron Shark. You can't stop both of them. So
the Neutron Shark does need to talk about. It is one of the better cards in the meta right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one artifact these days. There's lots of devastating artifacts coming out at us from MM and AOA for the heart stuff out there. Having the Shark, being able to kill more than one artifact on the one play effect, potentially is real good.
Right. So
yeah, this is a pretty great deck. I think before I make the strikes, I do actually need to see the other side.
Yeah, we're gonna get
that will basically for me depend on whether the strike is the Jar MM deck or this deck. I think in most matchups, Donovan is the strike, but there are a lot of matchups out there where you have to strike Jar. So we'll see.
All right, so here we go with Andyming's stuff, and this is stuff you're not as familiar with, so let's see what you got to say on this one. The new Cat Burglar of Smilegate. This is what.
All right, so obviously MM, we see lots of blue cards, which is what we love to see. Lots of nice blue things shining off at us. In Logos, we've got the double Q mech and the Chronos. In the view you have here, I can't exactly see how many draw pips are there, but I know I see a Chronos and a double Infomorph, so that's at least 6. So if these draw pips are falling in Logos, that Chronos is a lot better. The double Joya makes it very hard to fight against. You've got the double Gree Rider combo in here. Tempting Offer, don't love it, but it can be super important. And then yet Lights Out and Borrow are some of your better cards coming out of a Shadows MM, which MM in Shadows can be real bad. This is kind of a super sad Maverick because, as we talked about quite a bit, Shadows is not a house you want to call that many times per game. Generally, you want to call it significantly less because when you're going there to take off key, port, whatever. So, yeah, there's some dead stuff in Shadows here. It does have speed, but I think a lot of that speed is very dependent on where those draw pips fell. Because if most of the draw pips are in the Shadows house, I think that does help a bit with those Shadows turns. But of course, you want as many as possible in the logo set for your Chronos. Yeah, so I think I like the way this deck is functioning. I don't think this deck gets struck, but it does have some nice stuff going on. But there's nothing overwhelmingly that's popping out. It is just it's filling a lot of your arc stats across the board. It doesn't have hard R because Borrow, while it is a great card, can force them to not play some certain artifacts because the swing is too great. But as we said, we didn't see auto encoder. We didn't see crazy artifacts like that on the other side.
Yeah, and each star doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's a lot of artifacts out there that are really good that Borrow does nothing. But there are some great stuff out there like auto encoder Amphora that if you borrow them, you could have just won the game because you took one artifact. Yeah. But I don't think we saw any of that.
I'm actually pretty excited about the Sanctum House here. I think this is a really super solid Sanctum line. It has the reset.
I do love the Sanctum House. Like, I think the Sanctum is actually the all-star of this deck.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like or play Sanctum that much. I actually enjoy it. I know Nathan hates it, hence the arc on Sanctum is pretty low all the time.
Double Joya is pretty scary, and then double Grey Rider to go with it. That's pretty nice.
I think because of the Spirit's Way, you have a
reset.
Pretty good chance of seeing the Grey Rider combo land, and that's a decent amount of Amber. It's not like 6 or 5 you get off of the Drummer Knot combo, but it's still pretty good, especially coming out of a Sanctum turn.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll get moving because game time is looming. So, Warwick 20 Zyder. We'll call it.
All right. This one's pretty straightforward. We have a coded deck from the past. You've got an Arise combo that can go into a bunch of disc creatures. No huge payoff like the Drumble or Terror stuff, but still big boards can be big board. Your Logos Library access is really just there to push. You've got the sloppy lab work to set up combos. Mother, Scrambler Storm is annoying as heck. Flogify helps protect your Mother. And then it looks like Shadows is pretty much pushing Amber as fast as it can with the double Ghostly Hand. Sadly, we just said there's 2 Infernuses on the other side, so that hurts real bad. Too much to protect is a little rough here because I don't actually see that many other triggers to get off key. There's one Urchin, one Naughty if Speed Sigil is in play. I've talked a lot about Speed Sigil on the Archon's Corner. This is a card I don't think it's played that often, or I don't think should be played as much anymore. Because Speed Sigil is probably a losing effort against MM or Worlds Collide because your creatures just aren't as good.
Yeah, you'd have to have a pretty special deck for Speed Sigil to be great.
So, I like what I'm seeing here, but I'm not that overwhelmed by this one.
Yeah.
So what's next?
So the last deck is Aina. We'll call it Smack.
Aina, Smack, okay.
Smack.
Your disc has the double Exhume with some decent targets because I'm seeing some Kirby's on the other side. You got a nice EE here. Not a ton of archive to set up the EE, but it is still there. You have a big-ish body Saurian board. You don't have that many creatures, but you do have 2 Brutodons, the Shrix, the Jarda with the Scudum, and the Spiral. Can actually put a lot of Amber real fast on the Shrix if you land Scudum on there for it to be safe. No Ludo, though, so it really is just that one Scudum, so you have to be real careful about what you're doing with Tribute, Jarda, and Shrix here, because once the Scudum's gone, that's it. But on the other side, the star of this deck, I think, is pretty much clearly the Star Alliance. You've got double Kirby, you've got Uncharted Lands, you've got Book of IEQ with the Lay of the Land combo. You've got Medic and Kirkar to keep your Kirby's and Tabor alive. Molina helps that as well. Uncharted could really push a lot of Amber, especially with the Spiral on the off house. You can get another Uncharted Lands hit. And double stealth mode is always good. Like, it never should have been printed on common. And it's really, really good.
All right, so that is all 6 decks, Z. So what is...
So this said, I didn't see anything that I think I have to ban Jar. So if I am Andy, yeah, if I'm Andy, I probably do strike Donovan. I saw a lot of stuff other than the stealth modes could fight against it. That 4 routine jobs in a real good this week would give me problems. On Alex's side, I probably banned this deck, and that's mainly because I've got like some real sore spots. I've lost some high level games, IQ, RNG shenanigans, and I don't like that to happen to me. And as I was going through this, I pointed out some holes in the other decks that I think I could exploit with most of my top decks and the decks we saw on Alex's side. So I would probably strike Aina, not deal with stealth mode, not deal with other chartered lands, basically not deal with any of these Star Alliance cards, and go about my happy day.
Okay, so Aina, and what was your other one?
Donovan.
Yeah, those are the 2 strikes. So
hey, we swept the week on strikes, Juke.
Yep,
we did it. We're getting better at this.
Yep. So and I made it hard too because I cut off all the the extra pips so that you could. You had to
the only thing that was annoying to me is not seeing enhancement. That is something that you know, and I didn't see the picture, but that's fine.
Nah,
we good. I was able to figure out the enhancements that matters, like how many draw there were.
Yeah, that's what I figured the trick was. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get over to this game here in just a minute and see what they did for. Okay, time to go. And
all right, so I can close out Aina and Donovan. Donovan is a very hard deck to play unless you have.
All right, let's see if they get the password correct.
Oh, they made it in casual.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
It's not casual, guy.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like 5 casual.
I don't think it's not what he says it is.
Yeah.
It's not working. Maybe Russia, like he put them backwards or something.
No.
It's the actual F, not whatever it is that you guys use. Russian.
Yeah, I'm not getting in. Come on.
Russian is the. Okay, it's good now. All right, and so the first matchup is.
Okay. Yeah, you know what's deck 1 for both players?
Yeah, so no, they haven't told me yet. So strikes. All right, so we look like Shepelev is going to be playing. I'm gonna wait until I get Andy's answer, just in case.
All right, so while we're waiting, Group H is the 2 players they're in. It's very up in the air. Looks like they sit them. Do you have the second deck?
Yeah, so it is. We're going to be playing. Shepelev is going to be playing. Is it Grumpy or whatever? The Cyrillic.
Grumpy.
One?
Yep.
Yep. And Andy is going to be playing Set 4, which is his MM deck. So.
Cat Burglar.
Yeah, Cat Burglar.
All right, so we're going to see if that Shadows pans out better than I think it looks, and whether the Sanctum can capitalize the way we think it can.
Yeah.
Versus Grumpy, which is just a lot of value. It is going to be interesting to see what the jar hits.
It is.
There's no triples, but there's a lot of doubles. I think it might end up landing on QMEX because there's 2 QMEX can stop the hurt real fast.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here as this game is ready to go. Who's excited? This guy.
Woo! I'm excited.
Of course, it's one of your guys.
Go Alex. One of my dudes. Leading off with just a Smoko, and probably not the greatest leadoff card. One of my teammates, Nathan, specifically, is real high on having decks that have a really good leadoff card values. Which makes sense. I mean, it's a totally different game if you can lead off with a Zenzi or a Val or a Mother versus like anything else.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like that's why I'm.
There's the Borrow. The Borrow hits the mutagenic, and he uses it for immediate value. Does Cat Burglar have? Yeah, because Cat Burglar also has a Borrow, so he uses it immediately, so it doesn't get borrowed back. I agree with that. You get an Amber. Your opponent has not called Shadows yet. Sure. And then we're gonna see the Shadow side on the other side. Perplexing hits Eclectic. It's a good hit. Tempting Offers flying both sides. So we do see a draw pip here on Shadows, which is one of the things I was talking about that could make the Shadows quite a bit better. Another Tempting Offer. Man, as I said, Tempting Offer has its time where it can be real good. Both of them have a draw pip, so I think he kind of had to. And that's what I talked about. If there's a lot of draw in Shadows, that can be very different. And there is. So they're both already on Key Amber on turn 3. And most of this is because they're tempting offering each other. That's pretty fun. Still don't like the card, especially stuff like Call. It's out of. All right, here's the Sanctum. Because we're seeing a 6 and a 2 on board, I don't think we could see a Great Rider combo land from hand. But we could potentially see a big board set up real fast. And the Commandeer is going to take Alex off key here. But Cat Burglar being MM, and we already saw the EP discarded early. There's no real way to punish your opponent for going high after you kill all the captured stuff. So even with all of this stuff getting captured here, lots of value on Asp there.
Yeah, Asp is great.
Here's the other place for the draw. So we're seeing 2 more of the 6 draws. So that's 4 of our 6 draws that we've seen land on Sanctum, making it way less likely that the 2 enhanced logos cards are draw pip. So I can look real quick. Oh, they are. Wow. Talk about really good placement. Both of the enhanced logos cards are draws. And he does have the Rider.
You're getting tons of value here. Yeah. Nice.
Yep. Wasn't quite able to land it as a combo, but this is one of those situations where you see 2 Greater Riders on the board. One now has shoulder armor.
Man, I love the Sanctum. And he
interestingly enough, because had he played that in a different order, he could have hit the combo. Because if he'd put shoulder armor on that rider.
Oh yeah.
Come on, man!
Well, there is. Well, no, because he could have did it. Well, I think what happened was he drew the other guy off of the Grey Rider with the draw, because he played it afterwards, and then he might have drawn the shoulder armor with.
Yeah, but if he'd played the Grey Rider.
No,
but draw first.
Oh yeah. Oh. Maybe. He should have definitely.
I definitely think there was a scenario in there where that could come.
It could have, but that's not like a total command man though. That's just I didn't think about how drawing my cards before I play, which is always bad. So you should always try to get.
Wait, I'm going back, trying to figure out which Grey Rider was played first.
It was the
Grey Rider with the draw was played first.
No, but then what I'm saying is the Alice, when he played the Alice, he drew as well, and that was the after.
But he already played that.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Was it?
No, Squire Alice was played.
Oh, okay.
Then the Grey, all of the cards are in his hand.
Okay, so then it's an official command man.
Yeah. All right, we have the jar. The jar hits Joya. So again, 2 cards. Not quite sure that's a better call than QMax, but I totally understand, especially when you're already seeing a Sanctum board on the other side. I don't think either of those would have been a bad or wrong call. Yeah, looks trying to decide whether it's come on. Well, I went back and checked the order. He definitely had all knowledge available before the thing. That could have been 3 more amber. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 more amber.
Yep. Sequencing matters.
Yes, sequencing matters all the time, especially when you're playing these decks. Like, I think ever since sequences has obviously always mattered, but ever since Worlds Collide with all the play, fight, reap stuff, it's mattered a whole lot more in my mind when I see people play the game. A lot more is impacted by the order you play the card. Book of Maleficence. He discards the book because Grumpy has another borrow.
Yeah, that's probably a wise move.
And you do have Seal in deck. You're playing Shadows. You do have Red Penny. You do have Ransack, which we have not seen either card. So yeah, you don't want to give Auto Purge Omni to your opponent. Does a lot of board maintenance. Oh, the Imp Spectre hit the QMEX. Nice. So yeah, Eden's Jar was the perfect call because your Imp Spectre is going to purge one of the... Because that was planned.
Told you, man. I called it. Inspectors are gross. Like they've been making.
Everybody watching, Inspector is not really this good of a card, but it has done a lot of work this week.
It's not. I'm just saying. It's like I used to value it as just a card, like where I wasn't really over caring about what it did or its importance in most decks. But after watching like this league, like Inspector has been doing work as far as like purging and like hitting things. Even if you purge like something mediocre, you still get a decent amount. So yeah, sorry about the scroll. Forget you guys actually try to read these as well. So here comes the Infernus. It's starting to put some work in. I think the longer this game goes, the worse it is for Andy, right? Like once this deck kind of like locks in, it's like gonna be hard to deal with.
All right, so he does go ahead and because he sees that Andyming is at 11 draw and most likely is going to cycle at some point in this game, he goes ahead and he removes the Grey Rider with the draw pip so that the combo can't come back. And that makes Andyming's future Sanctum real bad because he's already gotten the Joya stuff locked down. Grey Rider combo is now offline. So if this game does get drug out, Andy now has like a half-powered house on him. He borrows Lucky Dice.
But it's like I said,
it might have taken Fawn of the Eye, right?
Maybe like it's kind of like what I said though. Like I think that like the longer this game goes, like the more Grumpy just wins. Like it's definitely got a better late game, I think.
He might have wanted Lucky Dice there to make sure that his Reckless lives. Right now, his Reckless Rizzo is elusive, can't take damage. And if he wants to go back into Shadows there, I could see that. If that's not the plan to go back into Shadows here to fire the Reckless, I definitely would have taken the Font. But we'll see. I guess he also could be worried about the Lucky Dice being used to land another bigger board and then not be able to answer it on its own side. There's the Q-Mech, the one remaining. Vision Bloom, love this card in the right decks. Vision Bloom is not going to fit anything because he ran out of cards. It happens.
Yeah, people talking about random, like how random on TCO is broken. That's not true. It's a bias thing. There is an algorithm, and it's a fair algorithm. It's just that it always seems to hurt you, or it seems to work for you. It's not, and that's the nature of random, right? In chaos like theory, like it's like you either have good luck or you have bad luck. Luck isn't really a thing. It's just what happens and how we observe it. So.
True. He does get the Rizzo steal on top of Heist Knight hitting for 2, so he just stole all of Andy's 3 amber, and then reaped with bow, past turn, didn't even play a card. Based on, depending on what's in hand, that most likely was the right answer. You're up, make him answer, take his amber.
Yeah, I think Alex is in a good place here. He's established, and his built-in tools are now in effect. I'm not sure how Andy could answer this.
We've got our Zealot. Our Zealot probably takes out the unelusive, Rizzo, because it had the ability. He has to discard the Barrister Joya. He does get a capture trigger here for Font Eye. On the QMEX, tosses Spirit's Way. Logos, Mind Over Matter, and he just Mind Over Mattered. Was that a bow and an Infernus? Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, like I've been saying, like this game is pretty locked up. Like he's got all his tools at his disposal right now. He's going to be reoccurring all the defense he needs, and with Andy being down a full key, like I don't see this deck maybe being able to the properties of this deck being able to overcome that. But I do think this was the better of the decks that Alec had as well. So, and he's down, but he's not out.
That sad dark fairy. Mavericks in this game dishearten me so much because it's such a cool idea, but I get so many Mavericks and houses. I'm just like, why? Why is this here?
Yeah.
There are some occasional Mavericks. I would still love to have an MM deck with a Maverick Fandangle in a deck that does not have Untamed. Like, that would be so fun. Still haven't really got one that's viable. I've seen some, but nothing. Interested that this was Shadows. Played one card from the archive and passed. Did he not have a way to get more amber anywhere else? Interesting. It's a really big Zealot. 6/2 Zealot. Cool.
So is that make him extra mad?
Yes.
Like
Zealot's a lot better card than I thought it was going to be. It's still not great, but I do actually get some value out of it. Time.
Yeah.
He discards the Book of Malefaction again. We've already seen both borrows, though. I could see that. I think I would have played it, though. I'm behind. I need to get a little lucky to win. I think I would have been fine with playing it. Do you go to your own deck here for pips? I think you do. You know you're going to cycle, so like probably that Tempting Offer, just stuff you don't want to see. I guess Tempting Offer gives you 3 amber back. But I definitely get rid of stuff that I just won't help me in the second phase of the game. Neurosiphon's probably dead. He goes for a Tempting Offer and Diametric Charge. Lands his own board and says, "Answer me now."
There's that Inspector again. He's been wrecking folks.
All right, we've got an active Vision Bloom, probably landing that upgraded Chronos, which it is. This is Draw 2, Archive 2, Vision Bloom, upgraded Chronos. Very nice. This is something he really needed to see early in the game for this deck to fire on all cylinders. Sad that it comes late. Really late. It had to be like one of the last 7 he drew.
Cards actually don't have Minds Anxious, just for the record. Just messing with you.
So he answers with his own big board. And the question is, like, Cat Burglar can't really take him off key in Logos. So if this just is a go high turn, can't use any of this board. So I think that's what we see. Question is, does Alex realize that, or does he try to manage the board?
It looks like he's just reaping out. He
Okay.
knows.
Oh, but he did have a fight in there.
No, he did.
See, like, I don't... Yeah. I don't know if there was any value in that. I don't like 8 versus 9 might not matter. I didn't do a amber check count because I don't. Oh, he could have top decked EP, right?
Yeah.
Back in cycle.
Yeah. But in a sense, that's a good.
Yeah, he did.
That's a good thing.
He did.
That's a good thing for Alec though, because like he can probably get his Infernus's back and get rid of it now and just be done with it. But we'll see if he does that. Like
I think you answered the Snurret here because that's value. Diametric charge gets you amber.
I think he's trying to get rid of the Infernus's because he knows that there's so much bounce here, which makes sense.
He might leave. I don't know. I don't think he can purge as the Grey Rider at random. Both Grey Riders are now purged.
Yeah.
Well, your Sanctum House does very little at this point in time. 4 of the cards are purged. 2 of them you cannot play. He has 6 Sanctum cards in deck that are alive.
But he's back up to 7 amber and like threatening his second key, so he's hanging out. He knows what he's up to. Like getting those Infernus's off the board might have been great because the Hysteria or like a Mind Over Matter would be horrible. But he is holding 3 amber, which can easily come back to Alec, and so Alec is just buying time here, I think. But still an uphill battle for Andy, but he's made a fight of it.
Yeah, at this point, I think you're getting back into your amber control on the other side. Although EP already did come down, I think a lot of the other capture stuff and steel is now back in deck. Rad Penny could be back in deck. Red Penny did get discarded to Ransack in the first cycle, but at the very end, so it was immediately shuffled back in. Ransack only hits for 1. Hopefully that wasn't his only out here. Lights out on Bonithine. This might be where... Oh, he's trying just to draw cards. He's trying to draw Rad Penny. And I don't think he did. Yep, that was it. Alex takes it in the desperate effort to try to get Rad Penny back to take him off.
Yeah, so let's see what the chat thinks. But so now the question comes, since this is your guessing day, does Andy stay with Cat Burglar, or is he going to move to...
Based on what I've seen in this league, I think we're going to see a switch. You know my feelings about that. If you ended up in a position where you're going to switch, you probably picked the wrong deck to start with.
Yeah, so we know that Brooklyn...
I'm going to be right back.
So we know that Brooklyn is coming online. So this is Brooklyn Fused Titan, and we see what Brooklyn offers. And so Andyming has a choice between 2 decks. So you guys tell me. Cat Burglar. I think Cat Burglar is pretty good here, and then the other is Warwick, which is the like the big value like bursty type. I think both decks are pretty good here in this situation, like where we could see the a push, but I think I just stay with the original deck. I think if it's me, simply because I think that I don't think either one is like overly advantaged against it. There is like a ton of amber control in this deck as well. There is 2 Infernus's, so he's not getting away from the problems that were, but he's going to have to win with both decks either way, right? So he's already warmed up to Cat Burglar. I think maybe you just stay that route right now. I think that's kind of where I would be. In this instance, I think I do stay with it, but let's see if we can get these guys up and running in game 2. We will we'll see as we move over. And Harlan is juicing me. He wants juice. Do you want to say hi? Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Hi.
Hi, Harlan.
I know you want juice. Okay. All right. So as we get into this game, once it gets going, I will get you some juice in a second, buddy. Hold on. You gotta be patient. I know. Patience, please. Sorry, guys. So we're waiting as these guys are getting their warm up here. All right, so there we go. We're into the next game. We'll go to the full view.
Hey, he did stay. He stuck with Cat Burglar. So now we're going to Cat Burglar versus Brooklyn.
Well, that was the guess for me too. I was like, this time around I would stay. I think both decks are pretty equally like similar to the outcome. So you could go with what you're hot with, at least what you already warmed up with. So we shall see. She should see if it's his way.
First turn helmsman. That's answer, or things could get bad for you. I guess that's one of the few things in there you would have to answer from Brooklyn, because as we said, Brooklyn is a reactive deck. Most of the time, it's just answer me or bad things happen. But first turn helmsman is a needing an answer, and tempting offer is an answer. So he just plays it back. Does he have a medic to cover? He does. Does he have a Kirkguard? He does have the Kirby. Oh, this deck doesn't have medic and counters. Hit and run to do cards out of your.
Alright, Harlan is juiced. Literally.
Man, this is the second game in a row we've seen Andy have to. I don't know if he did have to toss it this time, but he did toss EP. That might have been a hold, because it probably would be expecting an Amber Burst, given that you weren't able to address pretty critical Starlance cards on the field.
Yeah, and there's and there's the threat of the two Infernuses. Like that's like a really early game card to give up. I think I take the chain in that case.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty strong like come out party for.
Yeah. Brooklyn is mostly a reactive deck, but this is a line in the deck that we didn't necessarily point out entirely. We talked about that it could like ward up the dudes. But this is an answer or die situation. Like the answer on the other side is Spirit's Way. That would get rid of most of the stuff other than the one helmsman, but he keeps landing all this stuff over and over and over again. You have to get rid of the army.
Yeah.
And it's getting bigger because the Kirby is giving you a lot of value on top of the helmsman. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're going to constantly see these cards get out of the hand. Now Encounter suits on helmsman, and Garcia comes down and is warded. Oh my god. I think I probably would have warded the Kirby, because I'm saying the Alliance value there. But man, did he draw. At this point, I don't even know if does Spirit's Way actually stop the enough. Oh, that's significant.
That helps.
It takes a lot of effort to get that dead, even though the two warded dudes can do it.
Yeah. But he's buying some time here, and he does have two Joyas, so, and two commentators.
Yeah, this is just going to be medic fight, Garcia fight, reward. Or if there's one more upgrade, a singular Helms fight. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, too.
And he used both his commandeers that turn, so like he's out of
yeah, the EP's gone, the commandeers are gone.
He's really
he's got Ransack and Radpenny. Pretty much it.
So this is kind of like a sign, like if you're paying attention, this is a sign where you just gas, right? Like you just start going. Kill the Joya and just keep reaping. But doesn't deal with the Joya yet.
Did I miss something? Oh, Lucky Dice. Andyming used Lucky Dice.
Oh, missed.
I hate that card. It gets missed so much. Subtle Auto gets defeated this, which he doesn't care about. Ransack steals one. Now you can answer the Joya. See, Joya should have answered last turn. There's the hit from there. Helmsman is going to discard cards on the fight as well. Helmsman not discard cards? I think so. And yeah,
here comes the gas.
Alex just goes high. Logos, I'm expecting to see the Q-Mechs, maybe the Kronos. There's the Q-Mech. Getting value on the board. Brooklyn does have a Poltergeist. So some of this stuff is vulnerable, but not as much as it was against the other deck, Grumpy. Again, going into Star Alliance, takes care of the Adaptoid, because that obviously can do some things. This time he does choose to discard Hugger Mugger to draw only one card. So whatever is in his hand, it must be something that is, like we talked about, this is a reactive deck. It's got to be something that he wants for when the board ultimately does go away, because you expect it to go away at some point.
It's got to be all
so
his
he's
discs.
got to be holding like a lot of
it's all his
discs, maybe?
Yeah, it's like his Infernuses and stuff like that. Another Gleeful Mayhem.
Could potentially be like the Ronnie
Poltergeist.
Hit and run. Oh, I guess we already saw it.
Poltergeist is still in play. Like, that's pretty sweet. One of the inspector is gone, so that's sad. But the key disc is gone.
It could be Infernus Hysteria. Like that would be a definite stop discarding the Helmsman situation.
I fully believe that there's two Infernus. Probably a hit and run and a Ronnie. Like
the hit and run's in the discard. He used it.
Did he use it? Oh, sorry, trying to get going. Did he use it? Oh yeah, he did. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of the. He used it to trigger Kirby, just to draw.
It's a cute combo.
Yeah. Well, Kirby Hysteria is.
Yeah, Kirby Hysteria is funny. So much good.
All right, there it is. So there's the board answer. Now, if this is double Ronnie, that's Steel 4. If this is double Infernus, that's also pretty devastating. Not Steel 4, but we are seeing the disc. We see the Infernus come down. I fully expect this takes out some of the value on the other side. There's the Serum. There's the Lights Out.
Yeah, there's both Infernus.
There's another Infernus. Now, the question is, if this is Hysteria, that hurts real bad. Because these are cards you don't want in your hand, other than, I guess, Greater does have a little bit of value.
Plus, it's pulling back 3 Ember for you. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's the bad part. And you're then going to purge more cards. Plays the Poltergeist on the Fawn of the Eye. Reduces the chance to check and remove. I think we had already seen Hysteria at this point. And exhumes the Medic. And yeah, draws 5 cards. So again, the Star Alliance board still threatening. Good chance Alex does actually have Hysteria. What? It's getting gross. I don't know what my answers are on the other side of this. Because again, Spirit's Way does not stop this.
Well, he needs to get more draw done because he needs to recycle his deck because...
So he decided just to reap and land creatures, get some a little bit of draw. Seeing this here, I do expect to see in Hysteria. Based on the Amber control available left, the 3 Amber coming back. Gleeful Mayhem. Oh, maybe we're not going to see Hysteria because Gleeful Mayhem is going to kill one of these Infernuses. That is another Amber. So, there is Hysteria. So he's going for the.
That's just. I don't know if that was worth it. I think you just bounce and like not kill your Infernus.
I think the thing there is he wanted to kill the Squire so it couldn't get replayed for Amber control, but I don't think that would have mattered. Both Commandeers are gone.
Yeah, if he goes into
he destroyed the Fawn of the Eye.
Yeah,
I don't think he could have taken him off key no matter what in Sanctum, even with Alice back in his hand.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think. I think I double Infernus here and get rid of all his Amber, like, and get rid of more cards, especially because he's getting ready to flip. So then the Infernus wouldn't win. Like now your Infernus aren't going to be as powerful, but I think he's still in pretty good spot.
Yeah. And again, Andy just forges first key. So
yeah. Pretty sure this is GG.
And that's why Yeah, he chose to purge non-pipped creatures there to reduce any possibility of a flip being valuable. Although I still would have purged the commandeers. But again, I don't think... Oh, I guess there's only one commandeer in there. I thought both were played, though.
They were both played.
But
Did one get purged?
Oh, one of them it got purged earlier.
Yeah,
Got it.
purged. He definitely played them both on top of each other. Because I was like, ugh, that's not good. Because that means all his stuff is basically out of the way. There's Book of Malefication.
Finally gets the spear of the way.
And there's the third key. So
into Alex takes it. Was able to get it both wins versus Cat Burglar. Well played, sir. The MM. The shadow side of it just wasn't to keep up, which is one of the things we kind of identified. Like, that was a weak spot there. The attempting offers did even have the draws, and it just wasn't enough because you're giving your opponent amber there. So, what are your thoughts here in the end?
I think Alex is looking very strong. I know he came in very prepared for this, and he's in a very tough division, and he's taking care of business so far. You got to be happy with the results. I think for the most part, I agreed with all his lines, and his decks did what they're supposed to do. I think this was a pretty favorable matchup for him as far as like what Andy brought to the table. But all in all, Alex is a good player. He has great decks, and I expect him to do very well in this division. I know Anxious is going to want to put his part into that, but we'll see what happens. It's like out of this division, it's like it's so hard to like say what's going to happen because any given week, like Andy's a great player, Gore's a great player, Anxious is a great player, Alex is a great player, like and then you have new players that are on the scene that aren't well known yet, but Pock is really good. D-Champ is there, and then like you have like it's just so many good players. Like it's going to be interesting.
It's been very, very fun to watch all of these matches kind of come as they go and look at some of the game reports for even the things I don't see. Go back to watch the YouTubes of the games that we were not able to cast. It's been, I don't know. For me, it's been more Keyforge that I've watched, and obviously commentated on in a long time. It's one of those things we talked early on, like when we were doing season 1. It's like you'd say if I saw a game, it's like no, I don't really watch that much Keyforge. I think as we've gotten along, though, it's become more like I want to see that. I want to see what's going on. Like it's like a little bitty mini sport we have in our little Keyforge fantasy world, and it's been fun.
Yeah. Like like all in all, this season has been like pretty amazing. Like lots of surprises and things we'll talk about tomorrow on the weekly wrap up. But all in all, it's going to be like the stretch run is going to be pretty interesting. I think we're going to get to see some close fights, like near misses, basically for getting in, because you figure only the top 3 get a chance, like 2 and 3.
I am very excited to see the playoff round, the one where like the 2s and 3s will go up against each other for that second time, because obviously it's round robin, so they've already fought each other. It's to see. I'm interested to see if how many of those go the same way the first match went, versus how many is different now that they have knowledge, and like whether did they strike the same decks, like that kind of thing is kind of neat, because like it's that football thing is like you played him in the season and now you're playing him in the playoffs. Like, do you change your strategy? Do you double down and try to practice harder on what you thought was going to be right the first time? That's going to be super fun week for me, just seeing that. Hey, I fought you before. Now what?
It's like the I am not left-handed. But we'll see what happens. If you guys didn't catch that, that's a Princess Bride. And if you haven't seen that movie, you're missing life. It's amazing. But we basically the league just keeps being awesome, showing it like we're getting awesome games on video. If you haven't seen, like, make sure you're checking out Team Exalted's Twitch channel. Like, check out Call of the Week, check out One Star Peeps, and check out the AVR. Take That Smarty Pants is in on it with Aviator. We have the Screech Bomb guys in all of their fashions, whether they're Screech Owls or they're Screech Exalts or whatever they're doing. But they have basically all the guys, all the people in England that are casting are doing like collabs most of the time. So check out all of those. We have all of them linked in our Discord under the Twitch and the respected Twitch and YouTube groups. So if you don't know where to go to find some of these games and stuff like that, click there. And if you're making content and we don't know about you, you should be making sure that we do, so we can link you in there too, so that people can go watch. Like if you're doing your own solos and stuff like that. So thanks again for all the people that are out here watching and supporting the cause. You guys are making the season better than ever. So all in all, like I think we're in for an interesting stretch. This is kind of like the midway mark, right? Like it's all downhill from here, right? We're gonna just start gaining more and more speed as we're starting to see some decks that are showing dominance, and then we're seeing surprises. I'll give a spoiler. Unarmed Goat is still cruising, and it is amazing because he was not on anybody's radar, except maybe Sydney's. I'll give Sydney the credit. Like it might have been on her radar, she being his teammate. But crazy, crazy league. That's why we do this. This is the fun. This is why it was made.
All right, I think that is a wrap for us. You all have a great weekend. If you're playing in the Big Ones Final Swindles event, that is a donation event today. Good luck. Have fun. Hope to see a lot of you next Saturday for KFPL's first monthly event in our new league point contest. So this coming up March 20th is what Survival 75 SASCAP or Survival Uncapped No Restrictions. Love to see a lot of you guys there. Come earn some points, make it into KFPL, and if you're the highest point winner for this point season, you're going to get a special secret surprise that will be announced later during the event season. You got to be there to win it. Other than that, happy forging.
Yeah, so yes, there's no interview with players if players don't want to be interviewed. It's not mandatory. And this is like a later night, I think, for them at this point, right? So they're probably ready to go to bed, and I don't blame them. But that's all we got for you. We'll catch you guys tomorrow on the weekly wrap-up, have more great discussion, look at the things that happened this week, and we'll announce next week. So keep forging, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Kidding. Nice.